Hello everybody, and welcome to another digital capsule wardrobe video. This time the theme is punk, and you might be wondering why I was starting with the Angelic Pretty website in that case. Well, long story short, when the day I started filming this, Library was being really janky and really slow, so I'm like, okay, let's just see what current brands have, going, and I like Angelic Pretty, what can I say? I didn't just look at Angelic Pretty like you'll see in a moment. I looked at basically all the major Japanese brands, and I get distracted for quite a while on this new collection of metas because I really like that. Not gonna buy it, I'm poor at the moment, but hey, I liked it. Then I switched over to Baby the Stars Shine Bright and remembered that Alice and the Pirates is a thing, and as you can see, I solidly started saving things for this capsule. Speaking of this capsule, I actually found it kind of hard to do a Punk Lolita capsule. Now this is one that was suggested by viewers on my previous capsule wardrobe videos, and I'm still open to suggestions, so if there's a particular theme, substyle, style, whatever you'd like to see, let me know. It'll go on the list. It might take me years to get around to it, like it took me to get around to this, but I'll probably get there. Maybe. I did actually make a start on a punk capsule like very soon after my Hime capsule went live, but I never finished it because I like to make things hard for myself. So rather than running with a simple, oh, it's punk, let's go black and red because that is the most stereotypical punk Lolita thing you could think of, what did I do? I decided to do one inspired by the colours of the trans flag. Because, and I will get to this later, to me, punk is way more than just a fashion style, and I actually find the interplay between punk and Lolita both really organic and really freaking weird. But anyway, that was my initial inspiration, because I'm like, you know what? What is one of the most punk things? Being yourself. And especially in the political climate in some Western countries at the moment, cough, America, cough, it's pretty fucking punk to be trans. As you may have noticed, I was getting quite a lot of stuff saved to the capsule, the sort of capsule starting point from Alice and the Pirates. Like, genuinely, not my vibe personally, but damn, they have some really kick-ass stuff. And then, after I had finished saving some new stuff, I went to my existing library of PNG, like transparent PNG files from previous wardrobes, just to see if there was anything I could grab that may or may not work with the capsule. At this stage of putting together a digital capsule, I am always a fan of have more. Like, I save a lot of inspiration and then I will go through and narrow it down. So at the moment you are just seeing me opening, looking at, and saving a whole bunch of stuff. So to talk a little more about the inspiration behind my choices in this capsule, as I said, doing a sort of trans colours inspired wardrobe was realistically not going to work, but I'm like, you know what's almost as punk as being trans? Being bisexual, which is me. So I decided to take as my point of inspo the colours in the bisexual flag, with black, of course, because of course there's going to be black, and a little bit of white in the end, but mostly with black. In the end, it was actually really challenging to get much purple going, so that ends up playing a much reduced role in the wardrobe, but I did try and go with strong, striking blues and bright pinks, which are often called like dark pink in a Lolita context, to try and just keep the whole thing looking very bold. Which brings me to the part of this video where I ramble about punk Lolita as a sub-style, and honestly, in putting together this capsule and thinking about it, I have weirdly mixed feelings about punk Lolita. On the one hand, visually, I love it. I have always been a fan, like, I'm an elder emo, or a wannabe elder emo. I was never actually emo, but that's my era. That was what was alternative when I was a teenager. And so I do have a soft spot for, like, big hair, studs, spikes, black, torn clothes, all that sort of thing. Obviously, I know emo is not punk. They are different, but, similar countercultural elements, similar histories. Don't at me, look. I read the Wikipedia article about punk. I'm not claiming to be a punk, and I don't think anyone who wears punk Lolita is necessarily a punk either. Like, that's the main takeaway I have from this, is that punk Lolita is taking elements of the punk fashion aesthetic and is not in any way actually punk. Except, Lolita itself, you could argue, is ideologically pretty darn punk. Why do I think Lolita's punk? Well, think about it. Lolita is very, very countercultural. It is feminine to an extreme. It is feminine in a way that is often off-putting to the wider public. It is a form of self-expression that is purely done for the self. Yes, of course, we do have our communities. We do, in a sense, dress for each other and to signal to each other, but that is literally what every countercultural or subcultural fashion movement does, is you dress and present in a certain way to signal to your tribe, to your people. Now, I will stop talking about ideology for a moment and just go, here I am at the point where I am narrowing down the capsule. As you can see, I've got sort of four main things going. Leopard print, various tartans, punkma, whatever, that meta camo stuff. And I also for a while did have some like Alice in Wonderlandy stuff in here, but in the end that just wasn't vibing. I kind of struggled, honestly. There were a lot of different ways I could go with this, and I'm not punk. If I haven't said that enough, hear it from me now. I'm not punk. The whole mismatch, clashing aesthetics, it looks so good. I struggle so hard with doing it. Like, I'm fairly traditional when it comes to Lolita, and punk Lolita isn't really traditional, so I did struggle a little bit putting this together. So here I've narrowed down the initial stuff that I saved for the capsule, and I'm writing out my little needs list and going out and hunting for things in particular to fill the gaps in the capsule. So you'll see me doing that in the background while I continue talking about the ideology of punk and punk Lolita. Let's be real, messing around with gender and gender presentation is very much a punk thing. And Lolita realistically is too. It is hyper feminine, but hyper feminine in a way that can be unapproachable. And especially in substyles like punk Lolita, we are marrying a very hyper feminine aesthetic. We have the big skirts, the very cutesy, girly, old-fashioned, somewhat demure aesthetics, paired with things that are a lot harder, a lot grungier, and really carry completely different vibes. Obviously, look, I'm going to throw up a couple of screenshots. One is the Google search results for Lolita, punk Lolita. One is the Google search results for punk fashion. Obviously, other than like the use of tartan, there is like hardly any actual crossover, which is one of the things I sort of mentally struggled with while doing this. I'm like, is it even punk? Are we just trivializing what it means to be punk? But ultimately, I don't think we are. By the way, that little pastel cutso thing, Parker, that was just popping up, I freaking love that. I want to make one of those. That is so adorable. Which, again, is a reason why this was a little bit tricky for me. This is not my style. I think it's so cool, but it's not my style. Anyway, as you can see, the capsule is starting to come together. Still having to look up a bunch of things. And I will admit here, this capsule is far from perfect, but maybe that's what makes it so punk. I mean, and look, I'm even going on Vivian Westwood to try and find some, like, socks. I really wanted some, like, funky tartan, like, tights or something to go with it, to sort of mimic the often tartan, like, bondage pants that the punks would wear, but oh well. You gotta do what you gotta do. And as I've discussed in previous videos, there are limitations to the capsules because, well, I gotta Photoshop it and make it look nice in the end. But anyway, I'm getting a little off topic. Another element that I think makes Lolita actually kind of punk is the DIY elements of the fashion. I mean, not everyone DIYs things, but it's fairly common. And even when we don't actually make things ourselves, like buying things from little indie brands and having a hopefully supportive community. Buying stuff secondhand, it's, yes, on the one hand, it's a super consumeristic fashion. It absolutely is, and I'm not denying that. But it can also be pretty punk in the sort of DIY-ish elements, and I think that's kind of cool, to be honest. Anyway, as always with these videos, I'm just rambling through my thoughts on what I'm doing on the substyle that I am presenting, so I would honestly welcome any and all conversation on this topic. Do you think I'm on the mark about punk Lolita and its relationship to actual punk? Do you think I'm way off base? I'd love to know, and especially, yeah, getting some Doc Martens, because you can't do punk without some Doc Martens. Genuinely, you can't. But yeah, I'd love to have a conversation. Like, I enjoy putting together these capsule wardrobes just because I am a sucker for a capsule wardrobe. We all know this. But I also love doing it as a starting point for conversation. So talk to me, if you want. You don't have to, obviously. But if I was to try and summarize what I've been rambling towards is, I think all Lolita is pretty darn punk. Punk Lolita, it's just playing with aesthetics. It's playing with some pretty freaking cool aesthetics, but that's all I think there is to it. You know, I don't think punk Lolita is any more or less punk than Lolita fashion is in general. As you can see on the screen, we are very almost done with the wardrobe. My needs list is going down, and bam, we are now at the part where I am photoshopping everything. I did not film the part where I was dicking around with background removers to get the transparent PNGs going, but I will show you a little bit of my process of setting up the cord maker, let's say, where I get the pieces into the correct places and in the correct sizes so that there is consistency across all of the coordinates when I have finished making them. As for the cords themselves and the wardrobe itself, you will see that in its completed form very, very soon. Ta-da! Here it is, the punk Lolita capsule wardrobe inspired by the colours in the bisexual pride flag. I think it came out pretty cool. Like, it's weird. The colours are all over the place, and like, my sensibilities say that it shouldn't work, but as you'll see when I share the coordinates in a moment, it does work surprisingly well. Though obviously styling would make a hell of a difference if you're actually wearing this stuff. First up, 4 coordinates with Alice and the Pirates Grim Reaper OP. I think it's an OP. This dress is definitely more gothic than punk, but I loved the weird details on the skirt and the shoulder, and I thought it lent itself to a lot of variety. Being a solid piece, you can do whatever you want with it, really. As you can see, I've got 2 black and white looks, and then one with the blue pieces and one with the hot pink. And then we have 4 coordinates with Punkuma in blue, and okay, I have to say, coordinate number 4 with the hot pink with the leopard print, oh, I love that. Like, it's hideous, don't get me wrong, I think it is genuinely kind of hideous, but I also think it is super amazing. I actually really love all these cords. The one I'd be most likely to wear myself would be number 1. I just love the stripes and just all the matchy-matchiness. See, this is why I don't do punk. And then this gorgeous leopard print number from Meta. I just somehow along the line stumbled upon leopard print as being a thing, and then I was just like, yes, please, leopard print needs to be one of the big themes of this wardrobe. I love pairing the leopard print JSK with the leopard print fur, like, sweater thing and the stupid little cat ears. It is so stupid and I love it so much. I think this is probably the most versatile dress in the wardrobe. Then it's time for A-piece sprinkle hearts. Nothing too much to write home about these ones. I kind of did include this skirt because I also included the socks and the blouse, which gives us a very typical Lolita look amongst this capsule. And as you know, with capsules, I always try to give the hypothetical wearer a huge range of options, from like super punky, like coordinate number 4 here, to fairly traditional Lolita, like coordinate number 1. Then a nice tartan number from Alice and the Pirates with an asymmetrical, well, not an asymmetrical hem, but an asymmetrical layering detail in the skirt, which I absolutely love. I think this is a JSK again that is very versatile. The skirt cut is unusual, but overall the garment itself is very typically Lolita, so I think you can wear it in a few different ways and it works. Honestly though, I love coordinate number 1. I tend to like the number 1, it's a bit weird, but love number 1 here. So that is my punk Lolita capsule wardrobe. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, I hope you like the capsule, and I would love it if you let me know your thoughts on the capsule, the fashion in general, whatever you want, in the comments. And until next time, bye bye!